enzymes present in your intestines to monosaccharides. Even the disaccharides, they are digested by disaccharidases so that your blood contains monosaccharides. And we have number of enzymes that convert different monosaccharides into other forms. Like if you are having dietary lactose and galactoses, and even if you are having fructose, so fructose can be converted to glucose and glucose back to fructose. So this is there in our system. We have number of enzymes, we have number of pathways so that sugars could be interconverted. But your blood sugar is always glucose. You don't have fructose as your blood sugar. But within the cell, there are interconversions that are taking place so that whatever type of sugar you require for the purpose of formation of a structure of carbohydrate, or for the purpose of synthesizing different proteins that are being glycated or glycosylated, that purpose should be solved. If you remember, there is a very specific pathway that is known as HMP shunt or pentose phosphate pathway. You remember that? PPP, 3P. So that pathway is providing you different forms of sugars. Whatever you require, it's there. So before beginning with the polysaccharides, let us say that poly is many, saccharide is a sugar. So polysaccharides, here the term means that when you join number of monosaccharide residues, you get a compound, you get a macromolecule that is said to be a polysaccharide. Now, why do we discuss this thing? See, the objectives are that we are discussing this polysaccharide because it's a macromolecule. It is very important because we have it as a structural component, we have it as a storage component. Glycogen is there inside the liver. The purpose of liver glycogen is to provide energy to your system by breaking it down. The purpose is also to maintain your blood sugar levels. Now remember, liver glycogen is used for the purpose of maintaining blood sugar levels. Muscle glycogen is used only for energy purposes because muscle lacks certain enzyme. So we have to keep it in mind that these carbohydrates, they are attached together to form a larger molecule which is known as a polysaccharide. Within this polysaccharide system, they serve as a purpose of storage as well as they serve as a purpose of structural component of the human system. So polysaccharides does both the things: storage, glycogen, structural component in the form of mucopolysaccharides. ये दो चीजें हो गई पॉलीसेक्राइड की. एक काम कर रहा है कि वो स्टोर हो रहा है जाके, किस तरह से स्टोर हो रहा है? ग्लाइकोजन की फॉर्म में. वो ग्लाइकोजन क्या कर रहा है? अगर वो लिवर का ग्लाइकोजन है तो वो आपका ब्लड शुगर भी मेंटेन कर रहा है और एनर्जी भी प्रोवाइड कर रही है. अगर वो मसल का ग्लाइकोजन है तो एनर्जी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. अगर वो किडनी का ग्लाइकोजन है तो दैट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू आउट अंडर द सिचुएशन ऑफ स्टारवेशंस. Now, by definition, polysaccharides, they are polymerized products of many monosaccharide units, and they are termed as poly because every time more than 10 sugars are combined to form the structure. If we classify them, this classification is of two types. We have two types of polysaccharides which are present in our system. One is known as a homopolysaccharide, also called as homoglycans, और हेट्रोपॉलीसेक्राइड और हेट्रोग्लाइकन्स. तो होमो का मतलब क्या होता है? कि एक तरह का, सेम. तो होमोग्लाइकन्स और होमोपॉलीसेक्राइड्स, दे आर मेड अप ऑफ वन टाइप ऑफ मोनोसेक्राइड रेजिड्यू. जब हमेशा एक सा मोनोसेक्राइड जुड़ता चला जाएगा तो इट्स अ होमोग्लाइकन. हेट्रोग्लाइकन्स, दे आर कंपोज्ड ऑफ more than two different types of monosaccharides. Examples are hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, keratin sulfate. So these are the names of heteroglycans. Homo means same. Like starch, you have all the monosaccharide residues as glucose. Glycogen, again glucose. Cellulose, glucose. Now what makes it different is the linkage that is present, the degree of branching. Glycogen is more branched as compared to starch. Origin of the two are different. Glycogen is of human or animal origin. Starch is of plant origin. Cellulose, again, glucose are joined but in a linear conformation. And the linkage is again different. It's beta 1,4. And in case of glycogen, it is alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6. So we have two different types, homo and heteroglycan. Heteroglycan का मतलब होगा कि एक मोनोसेक्राइड एक तरह की होगी, दूसरी इनकमिंग मोनोसेक्राइड दूसरी तरह की होगी. Now, if we look at the structure of glycogen, glycogen is present in animals. As we discussed, it is stored in liver and muscle, and it is composed of glucose units which are joined in two specific linkages. Till it goes straight, it's alpha 1,4. And the moment the branch point occurs, it is alpha 1,6. So every time, remember, the branching is at the link of alpha orientation. Alpha kya tha? Down the plane. Down, OH was down the plane. So alpha 1,6, the branch points, and the linear chains are made up of alpha 1,4 links. Now this is the structure of glycogen. So if you can see that this is a round-like molecule, it's a very heavily branched structure. What you need to remember here is that a single molecule of glycogen is present as a small vesicle-like structure. That vesicle contains all the enzymes that are required for the metabolism of glycogen. Glycogen inside the liver is synthesized over a specific protein that is known as glycogenin, that is visible here. This glycogenin is there, and the branch points are usually linear in nature. The point where you can see the branching is taking place, this is alpha 1,6. Rest internal linear chains or external linear chains, these small squares are glucoses and they are joined by alpha 1,4. Since glycogen is so heavily branched, it is condensed. Therefore, it's easier to store. Cellulose is an extended molecule, so it cannot be stored by the plants. It rather provides the structural part. तो जो भी फैली हुई चीज होती है वो structural part ज्यादातर मिलेगा, और जो भी condensed, globalized या rounded structures होते हैं, they are better to store. Then again, another homoglycan, it's inulin. Inulin is made up of linear chains of fructose units, and the linkage is beta 1,2. Inulin was initially used to detect the GFR rate or glomerular filtration rate, but now it is not used. The reason is it is an exogenous component. Although it's not metabolized by our body, but still it could harm the system. So it is nowadays not used. Rather than inulin, we have different other compounds that are endogenously synthesized, like creatinine is used for the GFR rate. We have a small molecule that is known as cystatin C that is used. But at this point of time, you need to remember inulin is an example of a homoglycan. It is made up of fructose units. The linkage is beta 1,2. That's all what you need to remember at this point. Now, inulin and insulin. Now everything is okay at my side. Somebody has their microphone. Inulin is a polysaccharide. And it is made up of different fructose units. Please mute yourself at your end of vehicles and all these sounds. So inulin is a very difficult for me to the basic difference between inulin is that inulin is a polysaccharide, insulin is a polypeptide. Inulin is
Inulin is
made up of fructose units.
made up of fructose units.
When insulin is a hormone.
Insulin is a hormone.
So much echo is
So
going
much
on.
echo is going on.
Now, when we talk about one of the example related to heteropolysaccharide is a GAG. That is glycosaminoglycans. Now, these glycosaminoglycans, GAGs, they are made up of two components. One is an acid sugar and another is an amino sugar. So when we talk of homopolysaccharides, they are just linking of similar sugar types. But when we talk of polysaccharides, they are made up of repeating disaccharide unit. This portion of carbohydrate is very important because a long question is asked on proteoglycan. You can note it down in your copies that definitely a question is going to come on mucopolysaccharides. So mucopolysaccharides are heterogeneous in nature. They are linear. They are not branched. Never you are going to find any mucopolysaccharide to be branched. They are not made up of repeating just monosaccharides, that rather they are made up of repeating disaccharide units, and these disaccharide units are an acidic sugar and an amino sugar. So GAG or glycosaminoglycan is made up of a repeating disaccharide units. These sugars may be sulfated also or acetylated. Now, since they are sulfated and acetylated, they are very negatively charged. So there are two things which make this molecule very important. Because of this charge, they attract water molecule and they make a pool of bulk water molecule to be filled within their structure. So this provides a viscous-like solution of your mucoid secretions. Any mucus secretion of the system, you are going to feel it that it's viscous and it is slippery. So because of the negative charges that are attached to it, since it's a acidic sugar, so and it is a sulfated sugar, so you are going to have a repulsion. So if you try to touch it, it's very slimy in nature because you are feeling the repulsion that is going on within the molecule. That is why all the mucopolysaccharides, they are viscous and they are slippery in nature. Now see, this is the structure of different derived sugars. This is glucose. Inside our body, glucose, when it is reduced, it forms sorbitol. Remember, the reduced form of glucose is sorbitol, and this is the molecule that is responsible for retinopathy. जो कैटरैक्ट्स हो जाते हैं डायबिटीज में, वो इस सॉर्बिटॉल के डिपोजिशन की वजह से होते हैं, क्योंकि ग्लूकोज का कंसंट्रेशन बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है डायबिटीज में. Now, if glucose is reduced to acid, it forms two things: gluconic acid. If if it is oxidized to an acid, it forms gluconic acid. If oxidation is taking place at carbon number 1, and if the oxidation is taking place at carbon number 6, it forms glucuronic acid. One of the acid component of glucose that is present in a glycosaminoglycan, a heteropolysaccharide. Then if we add an amino group to this glucose, it forms glucosamine, amino sugar. Now when we add, our body or our cell add an acetyl group to this amino sugar, it forms N-acetyl glucosamine. So this is N-acetyl glucosamine. As soon as an acetyl group is attached, the positive charge of amino group is removed. So it becomes negative. When it is an acidic sugar, again the negative charge. Here also you are having a negative charge. And number of sugars, they are sulfated mainly at carbon number 4 and at carbon number 6. So again, of sulfate group, please switch off your phone. This is causing echo. Now this creates heavily negatively charged sugar molecule. You can see here that this is the structure of
glucosamine.
And this is the structure
And
of
this is the structure
galactosamine.
of galactosamine.
So when we talk about
So
a
when we talk about a
glycan,
glycan,
they are either made
they
up
are
of an
either made up of
sugar
an sugar
or an amino sugar.
or an amino
This
sugar.
is now at your end, not
Now
my
at
end.
your end, not my end.
Now,
Now,
what is a
what is
GAG?
a GAG?
GAG stands for
GAG stands for glycos.
They
They
are linear
are
polymers of
linear
repeating
polymers of
disaccharide
repeating
units.
disaccharide units.
And these disaccharide
These
units, they are
disaccharide
acidic
units, they are acidic
linked with an amino
linked
sugar.
with an
See,
amino
it's an
sugar.
acidic
See,
sugar
it's an
linked with
acidic
an
sugar
amino
linked
sugar.
with an amino sugar.
And this whole
And
unit
this
is
whole unit
repeated
is
many
repeated
times.
many times.
So,
So,
acidic sugar could
acidic
be
sugar could be
uronic acid or
uronic acid
idiuronic
or
acid. Just
idiuronic acid. Just
the amino sugar
the
would
amino
be
sugar would be
amine or
amine or
galactosamine, and they
galactosamine,
could be
and they could be
acetylated.
acetylated.
Now, these
These
glycosaminoglycans
glycosaminoglycans
classified
classified
into
into
6 different classes,
6 different classes,
and these classes are hyaluronic, heparin, heparin, dermatan sulfate, chondroitin sulfate, and keratin sulfate. It's not keratin. Keratin is a protein. It's KERATAN, keratin sulfate. Now, this classification of glycosaminoglycan is based on the fact that what is the type of a disaccharide unit that is present? One thing. Second thing is what is the linkage that is there? This is the linkage. There are variable linkages. Say, for example, in hyaluronic acid, it is beta 1,3. In dermatan sulfate, also it's beta 1,3. In keratin sulfate, it's alpha 1,4. So depending on the type of linkage, they are classified. Depending on the monosaccharide residues, they are classified. Overall, we have 6. Hyaluronic acid is present in your synovial fluid. Now, at this stage, hyaluronic acid is an exception because inside our body, all these glycosaminoglycans, they are linked with some or the other type of a protein to form a proteoglycan. Hyaluronic acid never forms a proteoglycan. It's present simply as a repeating disaccharide chain where hundreds or 200s of disaccharide units, they repeat itself. So it's not attached to a protein. Now we said that a glycosaminoglycan is made up of an acidic sugar and an amino sugar. Again, an exception is a keratin sulfate. This keratin sulfate does not have an acidic sugar. It is made up of a galactose and an amino sugar. Beta D galactose is sulfated at 6th carbon and it is linked with N-acetyl glucosamine. So acetylated amino sugar is there, but no acidic sugar is there. So these are the 6 different classes. The difference between heparin and heparin is that heparin is intracellular. One thing, heparin is extracellular. Heparin is an anticoagulant present in the mast cell. Heparin is a structural component. It is not secreted, or rather it's present as a part of the structure of a cell. We need to remember these classes. It's given in Lippincott and the explanation is also very nicely given. Now moving on to the hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is present in the connective tissues, and what you need to remember is the repeating disaccharide unit. It is made up of N-acetyl glucosamine and glucuronic acid. So this was an exception because this is not going to form a proteoglycan. Hyaluronic acid will not form a proteoglycan. Rather, it is going to help in the synthesis of a proteoglycan. Now remember this thing, it itself will never convert into a proteoglycan. Rather, it will help in the synthesis of proteoglycan formation. Then we have heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant. It helps in the coagulation cascade. It prevents intravascular coagulation. जो ब्लड फ्लो कर रहा है वो भी कोगुलेट क्यों नहीं होता, क्योंकि हमारे अंदर अलग अलग किस्म के एंटी कोगुलेंट्स होते हैं, out of which one of it is an heparin. Now this is present in different mast cells which are lining your liver, your lungs, spleen, etc. The difference between heparin and heparin was that heparin is heavily sulfated. Number of sulfate groups are there. See, one of it is there, imparting a negative charge. Another one here, giving another negative charge. Since there is an acidic sugar present, again a negative charge. So repulsions are very significantly present in all the type of glycosaminoglycans. Then we have chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate is a part of your connective tissue. It is usually associated with dermatan sulfate, usually most of the time. And it is present in your cartilage, in your bone, in your cornea, in the skin. So here your acidic sugar is a glucuronic acid and your amino sugar is N-acetyl galactosamine. Then we have keratan sulfate found in cornea and tendons. Keratan sulfate, see the structure here, no acidic sugar is there, rather directly galactose is attached to an acetyl D-glucosamine, but it is sulfated. So it's an exception. It does not obey the formula of an acidic sugar linking with a amino sugar and repetition of that. Rather, instead of an acidic sugar, it is having a galactose. Then we have dermatan sulfate, as the name itself is indicating, derma for skin. It is found in the skin. It is found in the blood vessels and heart valves. Now the linkage here is beta 1,3 and the acidic sugar instead of uronic acid is iduronate acid. Somebody was asking me yesterday, what if the glucose starts forming an epimer at carbon number 5? Iduronate acid is the epimer of glucose at carbon number 5, but with a slight difference. So this could be said as an epimer of glucose. Now, if you look at the basic structure of how these glycosamine glycans, they are converted to a proteoglycan. See, at this stage, this is your acidic sugar, uronic acid. Glucuronic acid, when it's glucose forming a uronic acid, oxidation at carbon number 6, glucose converted to glucuronic acid. So this uronic acid is this orange hexameric structure. This is linked to acetylated sugar. This becomes a disaccharide. Both the disaccharides are not simple monosaccharides, rather they are derived sugar, and acidic and acetylated. This unit is going to repeat itself number of times, hundreds of times, 200 times, that will lengthen on at this side. So this is going to extend. This is linked with a linker. Somebody now have again switched on its there. Your microphone is on, please switch it off. So there is a conserved linkage here. It's written as a tetrasaccharide linkage. Among this tetrasaccharide linkage, the xylose and these two galactoses, they are conserved. Conserved मतलब कि ये कभी change नहीं होंगे. अब क्या हुआ यहाँ तक कि ये एक जो linear chain of repeating disaccharide unit है, that is linked with a tetrasaccharide linkage. Out of this tetrasaccharide linkage, the galactose, 2-galactose and xylose, they are conserved. Now here comes the synthesis of proteoglycan. This whole structure would be attached to a core protein, a small protein. And this small protein is having a serine residue which will help in linking this whole component. So in a structure of a proteoglycan, we have a very large carbohydrate attached to a very small protein. So all the time, remember, a proteoglycan is a carbohydrate to which a small protein is attached. And that too with the help of a serine residue. It's an amino acid which has an OH group. So the glycosidic bond that would be formed again would be an O-linked glycosidic bond. So this would be the OH group of serine. This is going to form a glycosidic bond with xylose. It would be an O-linked glycosidic bond. So it starts from here. Thousands of disaccharide units linked with the linkage region attached to a protein. At this stage, what has happened? The glycosaminoglycan, as soon as it is attached to a proteoglycan, it is converted, as soon as it is attached to a protein, it is converted to a proteoglycan. Again, recall hyaluronic acid is not going to do this. It will remain at this point. Cut it here. So it will be just the repeating disaccharide unit of glucuronic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine for a hyaluronic acid, and no linking, no protein is there for hyaluronic acid. Now this is the electron micrograph of a proteoglycan aggregate. It's not simple proteoglycan, it's an proteoglycan aggregate. Now how these aggregates they are formed? See, this is a linear chain of hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is not having any protein attached to it. This is helping in aggregating different proteoglycans. How they are aggregating? They are aggregating in this way. This is a chain of chondroitin sulfate. This whole chain is made up of chondroitin sulfate repeating disaccharide units. It's joined to a core protein. The core protein at this point would be linked to the same linker region where the protein is attached to the carbohydrate. Then there is a linking protein. So this whole thing is a proteoglycan of chondroitin sulfate. This is a proteoglycan of keratin sulfate. Hyaluronic acid, what it is doing is that it is linking many proteoglycan to form a proteoglycan aggregate, and that becomes the part of your extracellular matrices, your synovial fluid, your connective tissues, your cartilage system. So this is how the keratin sulfate, the chondroitin sulfate repeating disaccharide unit, this smaller portion is linked to a core protein through a conserved region. Then the hyaluronic acid is attached to the proteoglycan to form an aggregate through a linking protein. That is a linked conserved region made up of carbohydrate. That is a linking protein. These two things are different. Now, how this is forming an extracellular matrix? This is the proteoglycan aggregate, which is shown in cyan color. This is the collagen fibers. They are attached to fibronectins, laminins, and different other adhesive proteins along with the fibrous proteins like elastin and all that to form a mesh-like structure. So what is proteoglycan doing? It is helping in the synthesis of a extracellular matrix that is known as ECM. It contains three different classes of molecule. One is the structural protein. Structural protein क्या होते हैं? कोलाजन होता है, elastin होता है. दूसरा क्या हो गया कि प्रोटियोग्लाइकैंस आ गए जो कि आपके 5 different classes के हैं क्योंकि हमने hyaluronic acid को minus कर दिया. Hyaluronic acid is helping in the formation of a proteoglycan aggregate. Then we have adhesive proteins like fibronectins and laminin. Now see, this is the electron microscopy of a proteoglycan aggregate that is taken from the cartilage tissue, and this is made up of keratin sulfate, Ks, and this is made up of chondroitin sulfate, and these are the terminal linking protein regions. So if you look at the structure, the link small dot is shown. This is a linking protein. This long backbone chain is made up of hyaluronic acid. These points are linear in nature. These are not branch points. Rather, these are the points where core protein is attached to the carbohydrate residue. So this one proteoglycan is linked to hyaluronic acid. Another proteoglycan is linked to the hyaluronic acid through linking protein to form a whole proteoglycan aggregate, which is the part of your structural component of a polysaccharide, which is very important. Why we have to remember and go through these mucopolysaccharides and why such important questions are asked in your examination? The reason is that we have different syndromes that are attached to incomplete metabolism of these mucopolysaccharides. Now this you are going to study when you will be discussing about carbohydrate metabolism. since we have to stop at the structure and function part, so just an overview of this. Say this is the image that is of the hand of a child suffering from Hunter syndrome. And what is an Hunter syndrome? It is a syndrome where the dermatan sulfate and the heparin, they are not cleared of your system. They are not properly metabolized. So what happens is that these glycosaminoglycans, they start accumulating inside the system. So all the disorders that are associated with mucopolysaccharide incomplete digestion or missing of an enzyme, they are said to be mucopolysaccharidosis. So these are the disorders that are associated. Right now, you don't have to remember them. What you need to remember is the 6 classes, the linkage, the name of the repeating sugar, what is the acidic sugar, what is the amino sugar. Nobody in your exam is going to ask you to draw the structure. Structures will never be asked, but you need to remember their components. Now, in your sessionals, usually there are few small questions that are asked. And these are what are homopolysaccharides. So, anybody can tell me what are these homopolysaccharides? Any example? Vinay.
The saccharides which is form of an is called homo.
Ma'am, glucose.
Starch, cellulose.
Starch is a homopolysaccharide made up of glucose. So ये छोटे-छोटे questions they are asked in sessionals. Now what are heteropolysaccharides? They are made up of different repeating heterogeneous monosaccharides. Now what would be the heteropolysaccharide? What would be the heterogeneous monosaccharides that would be there? Abu Zar? Abu Zar is there? Yes? Muhammad Kashif?
Amino sugar and acidic sugar.
Yes. So you have no randomness is not there. Remember, it's not random. You have to have an acidic sugar and an amino sugar. That is going to form a heteropolysaccharide. Now, can anybody classify what is an heteropolysaccharide? Faizan? Faizan Tawfiq? Just tell me how many classes we have discussed right now?
Mucopolysaccharide.
How many classes of heteropolysaccharides we have discussed?
5. Mainly 5.
Mainly 5. Why not 6?
One is excluded because there is containing monosaccharide, not acidic sugar.
Okay, that is an exception. And what was that? Keratin sulfate. So that is an exception, but we include it in the classification of a heteropolysaccharide because that is a glycosaminoglycan. तो जब हम क्लासिफाई करेंगे तो हम 6 क्लासेस ही बताएंगे विद एन एक्सेप्शन. ओके. Another question. What is the linker for mucopolysaccharides? What is the linker for mucopolysaccharides? Shifa, you are there? Shifa Khan?
Mucopolysaccharides are commonly known as.
No, just tell me what is the linker region?
They are linked by the proteins. Mucopolysaccharides. They have proteins which link them.
They have proteins which link them. When it is asked that what is a linking protein, a link protein is the one that links a proteoglycan to a hyaluronic acid. Okay. When we ask you what is a linker region, then it's a conserved trisaccharide unit. 3 शुगर का यूनिट होता है जो कंजर्व रहता है, हमेशा सेम रहता है. वो क्या होता है? जाइलोज, galactose, galactose. Now, at this point, you also need to understand the significance of dietary consumption of xyloses and galactoses. Gala for milk. And where do you get xylose from? Anybody? Xylose का कोई dietary source बता सकता है? It's there in dates, khajur. Okay. Another question. Why mucus secretions are slippery in consistency? Shiv Kumar, Usama, okay. Because of the presence of charge. So if you look at the structure, it appears like a brush-like structure. They cannot come close together. Every time you try to touch it or every time you try to squeeze it, you will get a slippery feeling because of the presence of negative charges. What, Usama, what are the components that imparted a negative charge?
Acetyl part and amino part.
Okay, there are three components. One is your acidic sugar. So COOH का negative charge आ गया. Another is the acetyl sugar. Whenever the sugar, amino sugar is acetylated, another negative charge because the positive charge is basically shielded. Then the sulfate groups. All the glycosaminoglycans, they are sulfated at carbon number 4 and 6. They could also be sulfated at rest of the other positions. But the main sulfation is at carbon number 4 and 6. So these are the three components. One is shielding of an amino group through an acetyl group. Another is the presence of an acidic sugar, so COOH group, and the sulfate residues. They make the molecule viscous, they make it extended, and then that is the reason that they hold water molecule, and your joint that is having synovial fluid, your eye having vitreous humor, your cartilage again having proteoglycans, they provide lubrication, they protect you from the shocks, so they act as shock absorber. तो ये एक स्पॉन्ज की तरह से काम करता है. आप इसे पूरी तरह से कभी कंप्रेस नहीं कर सकते. अगर आपने कंप्रेस किया तो वो वापस फौरन एकदम से स्नैप बैक करेगा. वाटर को रिटेन करता है तो सिस्टम को हाइड्रेटेड भी रखता है. Okay. Name the gag that does not contain an acidic sugar. Name the gag that does not contain Shanil. Shanil, can you name a glycosaminoglycan that does not contain an acidic sugar? Shanil, are you sleeping? Shoaib? Shoaib Akhtar? No responses? Tanya?
Ma'am, keratin sulfate.
Okay, very good. So keratin, K-E-R-A-T-A-N. Keratin नहीं होगा है ना? Keratin sulfate is the one that does not contain what? That does not contain it.
Acidic sugar.
Instead of acidic sugar, what is it? It's galactose. Okay, very nice. Name a glycosaminoglycan that does not exist as a proteoglycan. That does not exist as a proteoglycan. Suman,
Hyaluronic
what is
acid.
it? Hyaluronic acid. So Abuzar is answering too much questions. Abuzar, you understood what was being taught today because there was a lot of disturbances. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are the small points. These are that you need to remember because most of the time they are asked in MCQs. A big question is also asked on the fact that what are mucopolysaccharides, classify them, give examples, how they are important to your system, and what are some of the disorders or syndromes that are associated with it. Now quickly moving on to glycoprotein. See how glycoproteins, they are different from proteoglycans. This is a very different part. It's not a carbohydrate, first of all. It is a protein, and this protein is glycosylated. It's not glycated. It's glycosylated. So a protein attached to a small molecule of carbohydrate. There it was a carbohydrate attached to a small protein. So it's a protein, it's synthesized as a protein, and to it is attached a small molecule of a carbohydrate. So they are very different from proteoglycans. Now there are two type of linkages that are there in a glycoprotein. It's an O-linked or it is an N-linked. If the protein is linked through a serine or a threonine residue to a small oligosaccharide, then it's an O-linked. And if the protein having an asparagine residue, here this is an asparagine out of a whole protein, it is linked to a carbohydrate, a small carbohydrate, then it forms an N-linked glycoprotein. Now these N-linked glycoprotein, they have a region that is conserved, and this conserved region is made up of these two squares which represent N-acetyl glucosamine and three round symbols that are representing mannoses. So the conserved region for a glycoprotein, not a proteoglycan, is an N-acetyl glucosamine and 3 mannose. So it's a pentasaccharide that is conserved here. Remember, for a glycoprotein, it's a pentasaccharide that is conserved, and it is a protein to which small molecules of glucoses or galactosamines or different derived sugars are attached. So the conserved region is N-acetyl glucosamine 2 and 3 mannoses. Now the function of a glycoprotein is very different. It helps in recognizing the cell, that is, like your ABO blood group system. It helps in providing cell surface antigenicity, to which your hormones, your different bacterial systems, your toxins interact. So most of the transmembrane proteins which have the ability to act as a receptor for a bacteria, for any signal, for hormone, they are basically glycoproteins. And all your immunoglobulins, they are proteins to which carbohydrate is attached. So it's a globular protein and it is a glycoprotein. So post-translationally modified proteins at the level of glycosylation, not glycation. Glycosylation and glycation are different. Glycosylation takes place in presence of enzymes. Glycation takes place in absence of enzymes. So both are attachment of an oligosaccharide residues, one in absence, one in presence of enzyme. So all your immunoglobulins, they are basically glycoproteins because they are proteins which are glycosylated. Now, just few short questions. What is the difference between a proteoglycan and a glycoprotein? The basic difference is that a proteoglycan is a carbohydrate with small 5% or less than 5% protein attached to it, whereas a glycoprotein, it's a protein which is attached to a small oligosaccharide residue. Physiological functions of a glycoprotein we have just discussed, and these were these three: cell-to-cell recognition, cell surface antigenicity, and the synthesis of your immunoglobulins. What is an N and O linked glycosidic bond? If the carbohydrate is linked to serine or threonine, or if a carbohydrate is linked to another carbohydrate, it is O-linked in nature. If a carbohydrate is attached to an amino group containing amino acid, like, for example, a basic amino acid or lysine, or say, for example, asparagine, then it forms an N-linked glycosidic bond. Now, what is the linker region of a glycoprotein? It's a pentasaccharide, which is made up of N-acetyl glucosamine, mannose, and mannose. So it's a pentasaccharide. So we have discussed about polysaccharides, examples of homoglycans and heteroglycans. At this point, remember, the dextran and dextrin are also different. Hydrolyzed product of starch is dextrin. Dextran is something which is secreted by the bacteria, and this is made up of number of linkages where glucose is attached 1, 6, 1, 4 and 1, 3 linkages. Now today's class is over. Any questions from your side? Okay, I'm ending this meeting.